Hello, high schoolers. This is Skill Builder 8, and today we are going to continue looking at the time signature of 6/8. So you should have out this worksheet in front of you that I handed out in class. Our goal today is to go through and write in counting for the first 6 lines. I'm going to do lines 1, 2, and 4, and then you'll be responsible to do lines 3, 5, and 6 on your own. I will collect this on the next day 1, but I will give you the heads up that if I take something from you, I will have something to give back to you. And so you're going to want to make sure that you have this done, the first 6 lines, by the next day 1. Now, just taking a look at this worksheet, you'll notice that these rhythms are a little bit more complex than what we have been working on in class. So far in class, we've played 6/8 melodies where the shortest duration of note was an eighth note. And of course, in the time signature of 6/8, that eighth note is the one that gets the beat. And so we have been counting everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes the notes get more than one beat, so maybe it would be 1, 2, and 3 all in one bow because it would be a dotted quarter note. But we haven't had 16th notes in any of our rhythms yet. This is a very common thing that you will see in 6/8, and so I want you to be prepared for the future if you do ever come across this so you know what it would sound like and how to count it. And so let's get going right with line 1. And I'll apologize up front here. I don't have a stylus or anything to write in my counting, and so I'm just doing it with my finger, so it might not look the best, but hopefully you'll get the idea as we go along here. So starting with this first measure, I want you to think about a measure of 4/4. We count the quarter notes with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and when we have eighth notes, the eighth note gets the number, so 1, and then followed by an and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's just the same concept here with 16th notes. So we have 2 16th notes up front. So that first one will get the number 1. And the second one will get the and. 1 and. Sorry, that's not a great and, but you get the idea. Then we have 2 eighth notes. So they'll continue to get the number just like we've practiced. 2, 3. 2 more eighth notes, 4, 5, and then here's 2 more 16th notes, so it gets the number and. When you say this rhythm, it sounds like this: 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. It's very similar to counting quarter notes and eighth notes, except this time you're counting eighth notes and 16th notes. Okay, moving on to measure 2. We have a dotted quarter note. This is a 3-beat note in 6/8. So the way I want you to write this is you write the number that the note starts on, 1, and then the beats where it's sustained or where you would hold the note, put those in parentheses. So 1, 2, 3. So it's one big long bow, but you hold it for 3 beats. Here are 2 16th notes. So we get 4 and then 2 eighth notes, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. All right, this next rhythm looks a little funky, but if you break it down, it's really not that bad. We have an eighth note, 2 16th notes, and another eighth note. So the eighth note gets just the number 1. The 16th notes get the number and, 2, and then the other eighth note gets just the number, so 3. 1, 2, and 3. And here's another dotted quarter note, so 4 with 5, 6 in parentheses, held for 3 beats. All right, moving on to the next measure. This should start to look familiar. A lot of times when you practice these rhythms, you're practicing counting the same different combinations, but just in different orders, right? And so we have 1 and 2, 3. We've done that before. And then 4, 5, 6. Next, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, and. And last, a very easy measure. We've seen this a lot in the 6/8 melodies we've been working on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's zoom out here. And I'm going to go through and say this rhythm so you can hear what it would sound like. You can do this at home with me. Here we go. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. All right. Let's move on to line 2. All of the lines I'm doing will show you every basic unit, rhythm unit that you will see. And then, like I said, they're just rearranged into different combinations. So by the time I'm done going through these 3 lines, you should feel pretty confident to do the other 3 lines on your own. So starting right at the beginning here of line 2, this is easy peasy. 1, 2, 3. Now this looks a little bit different because the 16th notes are on their own. That's because there's a quarter note and quarter notes don't have beams. So you can't beam the 16th notes to the quarter note. So this still would be beat 4, and then you would get the and with the other 16th note. So 4 and. And then a quarter note in 6/8 is worth 2 beats. So this would be 5 with the 6 in parentheses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. The 5, 6 is sustained for 2 beats. The next measure, we have number and, so 1 and. Here's a 2, 3, quarter note, 4 and 5, 6. Hopefully these funky looking rhythms are becoming easy for you. Here's a dotted quarter note, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. Okay, now here's a single 8th note, so this gets a number, right? Just 1. And then the quarter note would get 2, 3. This is the opposite of what we see a lot in the piece we're working on. We see lots of quarter notes followed by 8th notes. In this case, the short note comes first. It's 8th with a quarter after. So this was beats 1, 2, and 3. That means that this first 16th note will get beat 4 and then this quarter note will get 5, 6. Next measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and last 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. And you can practice playing these on an open string. We'll probably practice some of these in class together next week. But that's what it should look like line 2. I'm going to leave line 3 for you to do on your own because it's the same things just in different orders, so you should be able to easily do that on your own. But let's go down to line 4 because they've thrown in some rests, so we have to make sure we understand how to count those too. So an 8th rest, that would be a 1-beat rest. Quarter rest would be a 2-beat rest, and a dotted quarter rest would be a 3-beat rest, right? They all correspond with notes. So this 8th rest would correspond with this 8th note, quarter rest with a quarter note, dotted quarter rest with a dotted quarter note, okay? So other than that, this is the same thing. The only difference is instead of sustaining or holding the note for that number of beats, you rest for that number of beats. And when we write it, and when we're writing the rhythm down, you're going to just write it in parentheses because that should indicate don't play. Okay, so let's see. I'm on the wrong line. This is line 4. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully this is easy peasy by now. 4, 5, 6. Now this, it will be easy to count, but actually if you tried to play this, this would feel really awkward not playing on beat 1. So 1 in parentheses, 2 and 3, and then 4 in parentheses, 5, 6, and. So this definitely would be a challenge to play for sure. And maybe we'll do this one in class after we've practiced some of the easier ones. Oops, sorry about that. You can see we have a winter weather advisory coming, but I don't think it's bad enough to have a snow day. And by the time you see this, that will be past. So I guess that doesn't really matter. All right, here's a quarter note, a quarter rest. So we know that means we rest for 2 beats, 1, 2. And we play on beat 3. We rest for beats 4, 5, play on 6, and. Next, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. A dotted quarter rest, so we rest for 1. Oh, I did that wrong. You're probably at home saying, what are you doing, Miss Allen? That's not right at all. All right. I was thinking dotted quarter. No, it's a dotted quarter rest, so they're all in parentheses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have a quarter rest, so 1, 2, play on beat 3, rest on 4, 5, and play 6 and. So let me zoom out on this guy so you can see the whole thing. And again, that's something that we can go over in class after we've done this. After you've done this for homework, we'll go over this in class. All right, so I did lines 1, 2, and 4. Your job is to do lines 3, 5, and 6. Don't worry about 7, 8, 9. There are some ties in there that make it a little bit harder. You could totally do it, but I don't want to overload you with work this week. If you have questions, you're always welcome to stay 10th period and I'll help you out with this, but please make sure it is done and ready to hand in by the next day 1. All right, so everyone have a great day and I will see you in class.